Yeah?
Yeah. So I finished the game, the main story of the game. My review is up right now on videogamer.com, along with an article about how Saints Row 4 makes a mockery of the current state of Hollywood comedy. That's what my article is about. I like what they're doing at the moment. You get the short review and then you pick out something interesting to talk about and do an article on it, so that's what I chose to do. Anyway, where to start, really? Let's just do a quick breakdown of what the game is. Yeah, you play as the president. You're still the boss of the Saints, same guy that you've been since the first game, but you're now the president of the USA. That happens in hilarious circumstances during the first hour of the game. It's been spoiled in various reviews. I'm not going to be the guy to spoil it. I don't want to spoil any of the gangs in this game because they are for people to discover on their own. And from there, you become a superhero, basically. You're stuck inside a computer simulation version of Steelport, which is, for all intents and purposes, the same Steelport from Saints Row 3, but with a bunch of alien shit going on. And also the ability to have superpowers, so you can fucking jump miles up into the air like you can in Crackdown. You can eventually run up the side of buildings. You can eventually almost fly. You can fire fucking elements out of your hands. It turns it into a superhero game, and it is just a constant, relentlessly funny, creative, left field, subversive video game that, were it not for some technical hitches, the odd duff mission and a heinous last boss, would easily have been a 9 out of 10 for me, and I still would highly recommend it to almost anybody who loves video games. That's my opening gambit on Saints Row 4.
Okay, fair play. I've played probably about 5 hours of it, and It's terrific. I'm not sure yet. Obviously, I'm going to play through the whole thing first, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to prefer it to Saints Row 3, just because Saints Row 3 started off the way all of the other Saints Row games start off, as a fairly sort of standard GTA clone, and it earned the madness. It got more and more mental. I've spoken about how the climax is on the surface of Mars, and from where it started, that's why I love that game so much, because it went far more mad than I thought it would. This starts mad, and it looks like it's going to get even madder as it goes on. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't half owe a huge debt to Crackdown.
Yes.
Not only because that was basically the same thing, all these superpowers, the jumping and the flying and stuff, but the fact that you level up with these orbs that are scattered around the city, and their placement, weirdly, I mean, it probably has nothing to do with anything, but they're just the way they're under these ledges of buildings and they're on the back of signs and stuff. They're in exactly the kind of crafty places that they were in Crackdown. I mean, I don't know that might not necessarily have anything to do with each other. It was just if you've played Crackdown, you will be reminded of it constantly playing this. That's not a bad thing, but it's quite an unusual one. It is a little bit buggy. The first thing I did when I started the game was got stuck in a bit of scenery, and I had to restart the whole game from beginning. It doesn't quite belie the fact that it was a DLC package initially, especially during the cutscenes. They're very choppy.
They're choppy. There's some audio issues, and my game crashed fully once, had a save bug that meant I lost 3 hours of progress, had to restart maybe 3 times during missions because it bugged out with objectives and stuff. So yeah, maybe it might be a day one patch situation, but be wary. It didn't really fuck up the game too much for me, even losing the 3 hours, which was a pain, but these things happen sometimes on debug. But yeah, it is rapey.
Yeah, it is. And whenever it saves as well, it can go down to like the frame rate drops to shocking levels on 360.
Yeah, and it also saves after every orb that you pick up.
Yeah,
so you can. It's not as smooth as orb collecting and Crackdown.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I've laughed repeatedly, and I think it would be really unfair to give away any of the jokes that are in it, or any of the things I've laughed about. I will say that if I've laughed a certain number of times, I've also laughed a certain number of times whilst also saying "for God's sake," because I mean, not in a bad way at all. I mean, just like it goes to places sometimes where you just like, oh, that's so ridiculously juvenile, but I'm still finding it hilariously funny. Yeah. I've said this about Saints Row 3, and I can't vouch for the competition, so I don't know. You know, I will fight for this guy. I always pick the sort of Cockney Jason Statham voice for my character, because the line delivery of that guy, he is perfect, pitch perfect, and all of the dialogue, they throw in all these English Cockney slang that doesn't fit, and it's all just, I think that's the way to play it, although I can't. Which one did you use?
Well, I normally pick him, and I have done for the first 3 games, but then the fourth option was just Nolan North, and I just thought that was funny the way they've written it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll pick Nolan North, and unsurprisingly, he's brilliant. He's just as brilliant as he is as Nate Drake. Yeah. So I couldn't know how it is as any of the other guys. Well, I know one's Troy Baker as well, so he's going to be good. Apparently, it's always been Troy Baker. But Nolan North is brilliant. I made his voice really deep, and there's some of the lines are just fucking fantastic.
Is it like relentless? I mean, the thing about the Cockney guys, I'm sure it's more profane than the other ones. The C word is used all the time.
It's not used that often as Nolan North. No, he swears his head off, obviously, but it's that's used a couple of times in the whole game, I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I've only done the first 5. I've laughed pretty much constantly. All of the great chaotic stuff that was in Saints Row 3, or in all the Saints Row things really, it's tank mayhem and insurance fraud, and the Professor Genki games are back, which is just, I love those. I love those games so much. The Flashpoint missions, the sort of gang control equivalent. It's basically the same game with a lot of very I mean, but with all of these. See, this is my problem with it. Really, is that it's where do they go from here? It's so far. It's turned up so loud and just mad. Saints Row 5, if they do it, they're going to have to continue. They can't go back to the beginning now. That's why, as a DLC pack, it's a separate entity. But now the series has gone essentially insane. Where do they go from here?
I think they'll come up with something. Stuff that happens later on in this game. Some of the stuff that happens later on in this game, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are moments where I just wanted to. I would look left and right in my room. So please, can I just high five someone right now? But there's no one here. I kind of would be so egregious of me to talk about it. What I will say though is, don't read the Edge review if you're going to play this game, because in a throwaway sentence in that review, they give away probably 7 of the best sight gags in this game.
Oh, what?
Just in the throwaway sentence, they're like, oh, you'll be doing this and this and this and even this and this. And it's like, why the fuck would you do that? I won't even mention what happens at the beginning, which is in almost every review.
Yeah,
I'm certainly not going to give away. How dare you?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, you're not. That's not criticism. That's just saying the things that happen.
Yeah. It's like I really like the film critic in The Guardian, but sometimes he just comes out and will say, there's a great line, and here it is. And it's like, why are you spoiling a joke for me, Dick? Yeah. I don't understand that attitude. No, but I'm the same. I went in blind, and everyone else should go in blind, because there is some. It is pretty wild, and I you know, it's gonna almost certainly get wilder than that. One thing I'll say is that I've never before have I played a sandbox game where waypoints become completely pointless, because I'd set a waypoint for something and then you just get distracted by all this other stuff to do. You find stuff on the corner. I mean, that's the nature of any sandbox, but something about having all these powers makes them so much more enticing than they would in a previous Saints Row or in Grand Theft Auto. I mean,
all the activities as they were in the older games are way more fun with the superpowers.
Yeah, they are. And some of the guns, I really like the dubstep gun.
Yeah, dubstep gun's amazing.
When you fire it at cars and they start like bouncing up and down, it's wicked.
When people are like body popping as they're dying.
Yeah, it's just fucking jokes. I love it. I really do love it. I've no doubt that. But you said that the end boss was a bit of a letdown.
The end boss, apparently, basically the game's structured like Mass Effect 2, right? And there are loyalty missions for your crew. Now, a combination of losing 3 hours, of which I did 3 loyalty missions, and not just needing to get to the end of the game to write the review, meant that I didn't do enough loyalty missions. Apparently, the last boss is way less heinous than I had it if you've loyaled up your guys. And if you're playing it on your own back, you'll do them all, because they're all really funny and really creative and brilliant. Whereas the normal side missions are more like go into the city, do a bunch of the activities. They're fine, but they're side missions. But the loyalty missions are proper missions, and you should definitely do them. So yeah, I think the last boss wouldn't be as bad, but it's still... All I'll say is there's a point towards the very end of the game where it hits an ultimate high, and there's nowhere to go from there, and it goes really badly down, and it should have just had the balls not to do a boss fight.
Yeah.
And because the boss fight just ain't or if you're going to do a boss fight, just do one that isn't incredibly hard and very, very frustrating. But maybe if you do all the loyalty missions, it won't be as hard as it was for me. It was almost impossible for me. I spent about an hour just doing that and was swearing at the screen.
That's right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure it won't be as bad for people who do all the loyalty missions. And the good thing is I can go back to the game because I've got some to do and some other stuff to do in the game, which is fun.
Yeah, after the 3 hours, I realised that I am going to do like Saints Row 3. I'm going to do all of the stuff on the sides because the side stuff is often as great as the stuff in the story. Well, perhaps not so much because it is so out there. But yeah, from what I've played, I recommend it. I'm a huge fan of the series anyway, but I definitely recommend it so far.
One thing that I really got from this game is that Volition is just, they feel like they're on our side. Do you know what I mean by that? This is a world at the moment where it's free to play this, in-app purchase this, try and stretch your money this way, day one DLC. Whereas this game just feels like they're the same people as us, you know, they're daft, they like stuff that's hilarious, they understand games, all their parodies, they're not like, there's no mean spirit to any of the parodies or references in their game. They're just born out of love and just having a giggle with the tropes. They know how shit and stupid and large parts of their own game is, and they just laugh at that as well. I'm just so happy that they got Saints Row 3 seemed to be the game that they really tested the water with how far that they could go with letting themselves off the leash, and the audience responded, and they've gone, good, right, this is what we really want to do. And yeah, they've just done it. And it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, and GTA will show up in many, many ways from a technical point of view, but I still don't think you can't beat it for what it is. It just left me with the smile. Apart from the end boss, I was grinning the whole way through. Talk about and do an article on it, so that's what I chose to do. Anyway, where to start really? Let's just do a quick breakdown of what the game is. Yeah, you play as the president. You're still the boss of the Saints, same guy that you've been since the first game, but you're now the president of the USA. That happens in hilarious circumstances during the first hour of the game. It's been spoiled in various reviews. I'm not going to be the guy to spoil it. I don't want to spoil any of the gangs. It's a subversive video game that, were it not for some technical hitches, the odd duff mission and a heinous last boss, would easily have been a 9 out of 10 for me, and I still would highly, highly recommend it to almost anybody who loves video games. That's my opening gambit on Saints Row 4.
Okay, fair play. I've played...
up into the air like you can in Crackdown. You can eventually run up the side of buildings. You can eventually almost fly. You can fire fucking elements out of your hands. It turns it into a superhero game. And it is just a constant, relentlessly funny, creative, left field...
Yeah?
Yeah. So I finished the game, the main story of the game. My review is up right now on videogamer.com, along with an article about how Saints Row 4 makes a mockery of the current state of Hollywood comedy. That's what my article is about. I like what they're doing at the moment. You get the short review and then you pick out something interesting to talk in this game because they are for people to discover on their own. And from there you become a superhero, basically. You're stuck inside a computer simulation version of Steelport, which is, for all intents and purposes, the same Steelport from Saints Row 3, but with a bunch of alien shit going on. And also the ability to have superpowers, so you can fucking jump miles